Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Human Capital Analytics and Technology Program information session today. Let me introduce myself. I'm Beverly Cerulli, and I am the lead faculty for this master's degree program at NYU. So thanks for joining us on a beautiful Friday afternoon, and hope you're getting ready for the weekend. We'll spend a little bit of time today just getting you a little familiar with the program. We're very proud of it. It's somewhat of a unique program, and hopefully we'll answer all of your questions at the end. And I'm joined by a few of my colleagues who will jump in at the appropriate moment. So let's get started. So first, just a little bit of context about the program, the HCAT program. Obviously, we're part of the larger NYU community. NYU is obviously highly well-known and regarded throughout the world. Within NYU, we sit in what's called the School of Professional Studies. I am a particular fan of the School of Professional Studies because the model is one of a science practitioner. So our faculty are people who have worked in the field for, in some cases, many, many years, such as myself. But we also bring academic credentials to our teaching. So many of us have PhDs in a particular field and can bring our experience in the quote unquote real world also. Within the School of Professional Studies, we sit within the Division of Programs and Business for obvious reasons. We're focused on business as well as other types of organizations like nonprofits and government agencies applying human capital analytics in all those spaces. And then you see the program, this specific program in human capital analytics sitting within that. You know, NYU has a lot of benefits to it. So the program here benefits from being in New York City. I don't know that I need to say much more about that, but it's obviously a hub of commerce. Lots of large organizations are located here, either as headquarters or they have a large office presence. 85% of our graduates actually stay in the New York City area after they get their degree. We do have a very diverse student body. So we have students from all over the world who participate in our programs. And we have a very good track record of placing people in jobs after they get their degrees. So you see some statistics here. Almost 97% of our students are employed within 6 months after their graduation, and many of them receive 2 or more job offers. And as I mentioned, our faculty are highly rated by our students, and they have that science practitioner framework from which they teach. And human capital management, which is just the general program, our students rank the brand and the rigor of the education as one of the things that they value in our programs. Just to give you a sense of who some of the players are. So we are led by our academic director, Dr. Anna Tavis. Anna is well respected. You could probably Google her and find all kinds of articles and other thought leadership. She was named one of the thought leaders in the human capital space. You see me there. I joined about a year ago. I'm in my 2nd year of teaching after spending 33 years in corporate America in various roles. And you see some of our adjuncts there, and they come from different backgrounds. Just to pick a few. So Sherry Feinzig, who you see there, Dr. Feinzig is working at IBM. Helen Friedman is an expert in human capital management and runs her own consulting firm. Stella Lupashore is another one of the thought leaders. In fact, she and Anna are just publishing a book in the field that should come out in November. So we have people who are deeply experts in their fields. We're also supported by a great administrative team, and you would get to know many of these folks if you came into our program. And I'll just pick out a few here because they're with us today, but Corey is our academic advisor. So Corey does a terrific job of, guiding you through, what courses to take when, and if you have any issues, Corey can advise you on those. And we also have Alicia Hauser here today, and Alicia is an expert on the admissions process. So she's going to be talking to you a little bit about what it takes to fill out forms and what other resources are available to you. You know, our human capital management program in general is really, we look at it as a portfolio of programs. So we do actually offer 3 graduate degrees, 3 master's degrees, one in HCAT, which is what you're here to learn about. But we also offer a master's degree in HR management and development. So it's more of a general, people who want to be more generalists in their career. And then we also started, this is our most recent program, a master's degree in executive coaching and organizational consulting. Then we also have 5 certificate programs, which are very valuable. So we have a human capital management certificate, also one in people analytics, in learning design, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is our most recent, and then a coaching certificate. You know, it's just to give you a sense for some of the companies that we work with in HCM. And these are companies who either work with us on specific projects or internships, et cetera. And you'll see a few of the companies, actually it's a broader list, who have given us internships for some of our students. And so let's get a little bit more into the specifics of the Human Capital Analytics and Technology program. Just to give you a sense of the importance, and I'm assuming you have a sense for this already because you're here today, but as you might know, this is a field of HR that has been really popping over the last actually 10 years. So, you know, the increase in the numbers of jobs that are out there in human capital analytics and technology has just really, you know, increased tremendously. And here are just a few articles that were written when we launched the program back in, I believe it was 2019. You know, an article that was written about how we're, you know, producing quants in HR. And, you know, this is a skill set that we should be developing, as you see in the article on the right, for the HR Certification Institute. You know, I can't tell you how many times I get calls from colleagues or former colleagues asking if I have people who, you know, could fill roles. So if you've been on LinkedIn and looked, the job market is still pretty hot in this area. So, you know, why would you come and get a degree in human capital analytics and technology? You know, as I mentioned, it's fast growing. And the exciting part for me is it touches on a lot of different areas. So, you know, it's that intersection, if you will, of people management, or what we, you know, call HR, and talent management, you know, technology. So we're all seeing the applications of new technologies such as artificial intelligence, and data. And data is at the heart of everything that we do. And we're seeing more and more of that being required in HR. Even if, you know, you are an HR generalist. I was actually talking to a recruiter several weeks ago and asked her, you know, how many times does she see, you know, data, or just the ability to think as a data-driven HR person, come up in job descriptions that she recruits for these days. And she said it's increasing, and even at the more senior levels, she's starting to see it. You know, database management, decision support. You know, business leaders are looking to HR people to come to the table with data, so that they can help make them or help them make business decisions or people-related decisions. The program itself is 30 credit hours. You know, it's an accelerated program. You can do it in a year with a full-time schedule, or you can do it in 2 years if you choose a part-time study option. So many of our people who are our students who are working full-time obviously do this on a part-time basis, and it takes them about 2 years to do it. And we also are very flexible in terms of how we accommodate you. So, you know, we have in-person, online, or hybrid study paths. So just to give you a sense of those 30 credit hours and how it breaks out, there are 14 total courses. We have 7 that are core, so you must take those in order to get your degree. And then we have a choice of 6 electives that you can choose from, and that includes an internship, that allows you to study and on a broad range of applied topics. The program is geared toward people at all levels. And, in the courses that I have taught, I have people who have 30 years of experience and they're looking to make a career transition. And I also have people who are relatively junior in their career with maybe only a few years of experience who've decided to pivot or focus a little bit more in the human capital analytics area. And the program was developed in partnership with experts, people who do this for a living. So data scientists from IBM, notably among them. The program starts with a very cool course called People and Organizational Management. And we call it an immersion experience because it's a intensive week-long program. Pre-COVID, it was totally on site. During COVID, it's been kind of a hybrid for obvious reasons. But what's great about that is you become a cohort. So all the students who start the program take this all at once at the beginning, and you get to know your fellow students very well. And for me, who sort of sees all the students after they take this course, it's great because they've already got the ability to work together and they're comfortable with each other. So, the immersion gets high rated, it's highly interactive and experiential. There are simulations. You get to meet people from leaders from industry and consulting who are in the analytics space. They do field site visits. Obviously, again, during COVID, that was a little bit limited, but prior to COVID, you would go to, or you will go to, hopefully after COVID, and when we get back full time in person, and go visit various companies around the city. We also offer a boot camp that will allow you to go deeper into some technologies. So, if you wanted to go deep on, Python or R or data visualization or SQL, or, learn more about Excel, depending upon it, you can do all of them, right? They're relatively short courses that allow you to kind of do a deep dive. And if you do them over the summer, you can get through all of them. But going back to the courses and what a full-time sequence would look like, as you can see, by full-time in 1 year, we consider that 3 semesters, so the fall, spring, and summer semester. And the sequence of the courses are pretty well set out. As I mentioned, you take that people and organizational management and managing the analytics function, quant methods, et cetera. Some of these are 3 credit courses. Some of them are 1.5 credit courses. And then you can see in the spring, then you go into things like information systems and workforce planning, agile, algorithm responsibility, intelligent automation, and we do a deep dive on storytelling. And then the last semester, you're doing either capstone or the thesis. You're doing something called digital workplace design, which is a fun course where you're actually creating a hypothetical workforce in the, using technology. And then it's a current and future trends course. And your part-time sequence, of course, is fewer classes per semester. And you go through fall, spring, summer, fall, and then the next spring. So you see, we just spread them out a little bit further. As I mentioned, we do have internships available. We also have study abroad opportunities. We do have campuses across the globe. We have a Shanghai campus. We actually have a Washington, D.C. campus also. Can you put yourself on mute? Everybody put themselves on mute, please. Thank you. And so if you're interested in that, we can make that happen. To give you a sense of who our students are, we have primarily part-time. So as I mentioned, many of our students are working full-time and go to school part-time. So they're on that 2-year plan. About 18% are full-time. In terms of gender, we have a reasonable representation. We're a little bit heavier on women than men, but still a reasonable representation. As I mentioned, ethnicity, we are, we have a reasonable representation across the board on ethnicity. And these are obviously domestic students as opposed to international. And then you see the ratio of domestic versus international. So not really sure why people unreport, but or don't report, but you know, we're still largely domestic, but we're growing in the international front. And just to give you a sense of some of the fun projects. So Letitia was a student that graduated last year, and she's now working full-time, but she did a fun project on looking at public policy recommendations around improving cycling in New York City. And specifically, she was looking at accident rates for bicyclists in New York City. And she was able to tap into some publicly available data through the New York City. And just as an interesting, you know, aside, she found that, of course, you know, as you might expect, a lot of the cycling injuries and deaths happen outside of bike lanes. And, you know, New York has taken a pretty aggressive approach on setting up bike lanes in the city. And if they're used, you can reduce injuries and accidents outside that. But Letitia did this work and presented it within the context of our HCAT program. So it was a fun project for her and for us. Lastly, we do events. So we have a number of, again, this was mostly pre-COVID. We have done events during COVID, of course, but they've been virtual. So we have case competitions you see up on the left, and we had done it with Adobe and the Wasserman Center, which Corey will talk a little bit about today and explain what that is. Every year we do a people analytics symposium, and this one happened to be called From Data to Performance. This past year, we do them in June. We did a virtual conference looking at the use of data and technology in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And next year, we'll be focused on the use of technology and data to advance coaching in the workforce. So the emphasis will be on well-being and within the workforce. You'll see on the bottom left there some folks who worked with us on you know, doing a deep dive into Python. And just so you see Anna there, one of our faculty members next to Anna, Stella Lupashore, and a few experts in the field. So Jeremy Shapiro from Merck, who heads analytics there, Bennett Voorhees, who was Johnson & Johnson, and Ben Zweig, who is the CEO of an analytics company called Revelio Labs. And then we do these in-person fireside chats again when we are in person. And, you know, we also have launched this year, actually, book launches. So we have had a few virtual sessions when some authors on analytics books have been launching their books. So we most recently had Jonathan Farrar and David Green, who launched their new book, and we will be having one actually this afternoon. So those are the kinds of events that we get involved in. This one was a fun one. We had students present at the Conference Board digital workplace event, where they presented their own work. And one of the faculty was also moderating that event. I'm actually doing one with students at the Conference Board next week. So some of my students will be talking about you know, their experience in people analytics at that event. So we get students exposure also. And then this gives you some sense for, you know, our industry connections. Because we are all practitioners within the field, we do tend to have reasonably good industry connections. We bring in speakers to our classes from different companies. And we are able to bring our students on these field visits. So here you see a few of them that we did, you know, pre-COVID. We also actually have access to the Leslie eLab, which is for entrepreneurship. And it's just an example of the kinds of resources you have available to you as an NYU student. And it has nothing to do specifically with the HCAT program in terms of availability, But it is open to all students and faculty, and it allows you to do prototyping and collaboration if you are interested in doing work as an entrepreneur. So it's just a kind of a cool example of what all the resources that NYU provides while you're a student here. I did want to mention just a few. I mentioned that we do certificates. We have 5 of them, but these are very popular programs and becoming more popular. They tend to be a bit shorter, and for people who just want to do a quick deep dive into human capital management or people analytics or learning design or diversity, they are available to you. So now I'm going to get into a little bit of what's available to you from a student support perspective. So as I mentioned, we have options to do virtual, in-person, and hybrid approaches to learning. We do primarily synchronous class instruction through a platform called Brightspace. And it's actually quite good. It is pretty easy to engage with. And there we actually have options to do discussion groups, so students can interact with each other. We launch our Zoom. Everything that you need to know about the course is there in terms of your syllabi and slides, etc. And even some faculty do videos that they will present there depending upon how they set up their course. We also, as I mentioned, offer one-on-one advising and also group advising sessions online. And that includes academic advising. And also for international students, we also offer global services. So, help with visas, work authorizations, and other sorts of things. So, so lots of opportunities for students to get support. And then we do have programs through the Wasserman Center for Career Development, which Corey will talk a little bit about. And as I mentioned, the Entrepreneurial Institute that Leslie E-Lab. Also, as a resource to you, and I get very excited about this, is the NYU University or NYU Library. It is a fabulous place to just find pretty much everything you need, not just academic research, but you can subscribe to things like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal through NYU. We have a great library staff who, if you need research support, is very helpful and can help you out. And of course, we are committed to the health and wellness of actually everybody in the university ecosystem, but certainly students. So you have access to the University Student Health Center. And we're very good at, during the pandemic, doing updates on the situation and on COVID facts, what's available to you in terms of testing, et cetera, as well as what some of the rules are about being on campus. And we also have a wellness exchange that's open for 24 hours available to you. So at this point, I'm going to hand off to Corey to talk a little bit about the Wasserman Center. So Corey, if you don't mind, I'll just advance the slides and you can talk through them.
Sounds good. Thanks, Beverly. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Corey Faraday, Academic Advisor for HCM programs, including the HCAT degree program. So just a quick kind of snapshot about what academic advising is, so you know who is this guy and where is he coming from. So there's different academic advising models you might be familiar with based on previous institution, but essentially here in the School of Professional Studies, I'm kind of your go-to starting point if you have any random questions, you don't know where to start. If you want to check in on your degree progress, make sure you're on the right track. You'll see resources that I share from time to time for all students, and also kind of keep an eye on how things are going. So essentially, I'm like a partner to help you be successful in your program, get the most out of it, and graduate efficiently. So that being said, I don't specifically work in the Wasserman Center for Career Development, but we do partner with them a lot, and I am very familiar with their services. This is an awesome resource to have as part of your kind of career development toolkit. SPS Wasserman Center for Career Development actually is a unique because it solely fits the unique needs of our students. There is a general Wasserman center at NYU, but SPS has its own as well. And so a lot of things that you can access here, including alumni networks. We have a handshake development platform, which is more than just a job search or internship platform. It allows you to create a profile, connect with potential employers, look for on-campus employment if that's something you are interested in, and also sign up for various types of career coaching and cohort group coaching events, workshops, and different experiences like that. Our Wasserman Center career coaches are really skilled at working with students from diverse backgrounds. So whether you have maybe more traditional human capital management job experience and you're looking to get more focused in the industry with HCAT, or you already are in that area, definitely take advantage of this. You can start meeting with a career coach like as you start as a student. So this should by no means be something that you access at the very end, like what a lot of folks do in undergrad where they get their resume reviewed last semester. So don't miss out. Moving forward. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you see the slide on internships?
Yep. Awesome. So in terms of internships, how that fits into the HCAT degree, I would kind of do a caveat that eligibility for internship, the biggest factor to determine that is if one is studying like on an international student visa or not, if one is located in the United States or not. We have a really diverse student population in the HCAT program and in SPS overall. If an internship is something you're interested in, feel free to check in with me, before you even start the program, whether you've applied or not, and we can kind of go over how that would fit into your program timeline so that it works with your career and academic goals. But we're really excited whenever our students get internships, and they get some really cool ones. So whether you're looking for internship experience or job search in the midst of your HCAT degree, which we encourage, for those who want it. Here's just a few examples. We have awesome consulting companies that students work with. The UN is like in our in our backyard in Manhattan. And then if you want to have a lunch break during your internship with penguins at the Bronx Zoo, the Wildlife Conservation Society is an awesome organization. We had a kind of special relationship with them that we started a couple summers back for HCM students to do really meaningful internships there. And our career outcomes are really good for students in the School of Professional Studies, and particularly HCAT. What are some specific examples of like career wins, as I like to call them, whether they're promotions or a student going more into human capital analytics role or company? I encourage all of you to connect with us on LinkedIn. I'll go ahead and share a link in the chat for the Human Capital Management Department LinkedIn page, and you can see the shout outs and the proud work that our current students and alum are doing. But 96.6% of HCM graduate class of 2018, for example, were employed full-time within 6 months of graduation. And I would also say for students who are, if you're international, studying remotely from your home country, or if you're working within the United States, you by no means have to wait to get that career win after you graduate. It's very common. I'd say maybe like every month or so, I hear through the grapevine or from a student, hey, I was full-time, but I got a new job and now I want to go to part-time. And those are exciting things to hear for us, since we are, science and practitioner based. And again, these are just some examples of the great organizations, very influential in the world, in the nation, that our graduates and current students are working for. So by being part of the HCAT degree program, Human Capital Management Department, and School of Professional Studies at NYU, you kind of implicitly get connected to an awesome resource to leverage your career in academics. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Alicia, who will answer probably a lot of questions that you have about the admissions process and those next steps to becoming a potential student here with us.
Great, thank you, Corey. Hi, everyone. My name is Alicia Hauser, and I am the Senior Admissions Officer at the NYU School of Professional Studies. As Corey mentioned, I am going to take you through the admissions process. So for starters, with the next slide, we're going to talk about the deadlines. So I will say for the Human Capital Analytics and Technology program, I want you to focus on our fall deadlines here. So applications for fall 2022 are currently open. The priority deadline is January 15th. The international deadline is April the 1st. And our domestic student deadline is July the 1st. So although these are the deadlines, applications are currently open if you do want to get an early start and start to work on your application. And so next, I am going to speak more about the application requirements so you can better understand what you need to apply to the program. So our application is completely online at sps.nyu.edu. And we have a pretty user-friendly platform, so I definitely encourage you to start your application. There is a $150 application fee. However, those impacted by COVID-19, you could email the admissions office for the opportunity to get the application fee waived because we understand that many people have been impacted. With the admissions requirements, you have to submit a detailed resume to showcase your professional experience, whether that's full-time work, part-time work, any internships you may have had in different school involvements, so that the admissions committee can see your transferable skills that will easily translate into the program. There's also a personal statement requirement, which is a minimum of 500 words, where you tell us, who you are, why you're interested in the program, as well as how you feel like this program can help you achieve your career goals. You're also required to submit 2 letters of recommendation, either from an academic or professional source. And you will need to upload all of your transcripts for all institutions attended in which college credit was earned. I do have additional requirements, which include the evaluation of foreign transcripts. And that's required if more than half of your degree was completed out of the United States. You would be required to submit an evaluation. If the medium of instruction at your institution was not English, you would need to submit the TOEFL or the IELTS. And depending on your score, you may be asked to complete a secondary language exam, also known as the Pearson SVET. So now I'm going to talk more about financial aid and specifically for domestic. So in terms of the opportunities here for our domestic applicants who are US citizens and US permanent residents, we would encourage them to complete the FAFSA, also known as the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And that way it lets us as the institution know what type of additional financial assistance you may need. And we'll also let you know what types of loans and grants that you could qualify for. One of which includes the NYU School of Professional Studies grant, which you could receive up to $4,000 per academic year. And that's actually based on the amount of credits that you register for each term. So next I will talk about the financial aid resources for our international students. So in terms of international, the scholarship opportunities are a bit limited. However, there are additional resources available as well. So we have listed a lot of different organizations here that deal with our international students, in which you can also look into them more to see what types of scholarships there are, because there are scholarships for graduate students. It just requires a little bit more digging to find those opportunities. And for various programs, there are merit-based scholarships for new and continuous students as well. And I will also add, for both our domestic and international students, there's also our Dean Scholar Scholarship. So once, in the program, you have the opportunity to be considered for that scholarship. It is separate from the application itself. And there is certain requirements you have to meet in terms of that merit, but there is a $10,000 academic scholarship. So both international and domestic students can look into as well. Next, I will be talking about our payment plan options at NYU. So in terms of the payment plans, we have our tuition pay plan, which allows you to pay all or a portion of your educational expenses in interest-free monthly installments. And we have the deferred payment plan as well, which allows you to defer 50% of your bill to a later date. So a lot of our students appreciate some of this flexibility. And lastly, we have our NYU School of Professional Studies deferred tuition reimbursement payment plan, which allows students with employer tuition reimbursement to defer payment of a portion of their bill and be reimbursed at the end of the term. So that's been, a little brief part of admissions as well as financial aid. But I will say next is our contact slide, so you can kind of see how you can also reach out to us. You can contact us at sps.graduateadmissions@nyu.edu. And if you also want to connect with an admissions officer, you can email us and we can schedule you an appointment as well if you want that one-on-one attention. So now I will hand it back to Beverly.
Great. So thank you, Corey and Alicia. This was very helpful. And, I'll just elaborate a bit on this slide. So Alicia pointed out the email for Office of Admissions, but certainly feel free to reach out to the Human Capital Management Academic Department also if you have any other questions, or if you'd like to speak with somebody, in more detail about the program. I do that. Our academic director has spoken to students. So we're always happy to answer your questions. So after this, don't feel like this is the only opportunity you have to get clarity. If you have any questions at all, do not be shy about reaching out to one of us. We are happy to chat with you. And so that will wrap us up for right now, and we'll open for Q&A. And see what questions you have right now.